My hope is that you never let someone get comfortable dismissing or disrespecting you, male or female. Never let someone set a precedent of name-calling or yelling or demeaning words in your relationship. Never let someone get complacent in their neglect. From day one, that is not okay. You don't need to wait and see if it's a pattern or if they're just having a bad day. You can lovingly put your foot down right now. Doesn't mean you don't love them. It simply means you know the difference between what's destructive and what's not. And you know what you deserve, which is never to be called names or pushed or yelled at. You don't have to wait to set boundaries around those things. And I'm not trying to judge you or victim blame, but this is a big problem with anxious attachment and people-pleasing and codependency. Some of you simply don't know what healthy is supposed to look like. You didn't grow up with healthy. So your parents fought like that, didn't they? They talked to each other like that. So you tolerate it as well. And I'm just reminding you, don't. It's not okay. It's harmful. And another reason we might tolerate it is because we fear the consequences of standing up for ourselves, don't we? We're afraid of what would happen if we actually set a boundary around disrespect or refuse to put up with their toxic behavior. It's impossible not to think, yeah, but what if this backfires and they leave me? And I want to be empathetic to those fears, but this is the problem. See, they're supposed to leave you, or you're supposed to leave them. You're not supposed to be a doormat. You're not supposed to be a chameleon, changing your colors depending on their mood, always willing to become who they need you to be, or save them from their own consequences, always willing to bend over backwards so that they don't get too uncomfortable. Yes, I understand you love them, but the hard truth is you're not in a loving relationship. This is a trauma response. It's from your old pain, and it's causing you to operate from a place of fear, wondering if you'll be okay if you were alone, or you think that their view of you determines your self-worth. Whether you're needed in this relationship determines your value, and I'm just here to remind you, it's not true. You are lovable and valuable, and nobody's perfect, but this isn't about perfection. This is about answering the question, do they value you consistently? Do they have a desire to respect and prioritize you? Do they reciprocate the grace and the kindness and the benefit of the doubt that you're giving to them? Are they able to take accountability for anything? Or do they just blame you for all their hurtful behavior? And isn't it funny that we're still terrified to stand up even for things that we know are wrong? We're terrified to set a boundary and enforce it. We're terrified to speak up for what we need to feel loved and close and valued. And we're terrified to think what will happen if they left. Let me remind you, you will never be more lonely than in a toxic relationship. And we all have to get comfortable with being alone before we can be in a healthy relationship. And yes, those things can be difficult, but do you know what's also difficult? Dealing with the stress and anxiety and constant fights and walking on eggshells and the disconnection and the good times being great, sure, but the bad times are terrible. And it's not supposed to be that way. And someone needs to remind you that you deserve better than that. But it starts with you. It always starts with our relationship with ourselves and what we believe deep in our soul about who we are and what we deserve. Jordan Pickle says, when you start setting healthy boundaries, some relationships will fall apart because you disregarding yourself was what held it together.